Welcome back to rcFoamFighters Bulletproof Plane Build Along number 1. We're going to get right back into the build, but first I wanted to go ahead and give you a progress report on that second plane I'm building without the KF airfoil. So let's get going. Okay, this is where we're at on the second plane, the one that I'm going to be using for a direct comparison against the one that has the KF airfoils. I have that rear section cut out where we're going to put the wood plate. I also have the slot cut for where the motor is going to be. I'm going to be giving two different options on what motors to run on this plane. I'm not going to go over that in too much detail right now because that's going to be in phase 2 of the build. Also, I've already beveled the trailing and leading edges of the wing and did the finish work with the rasp and the sanding block. That's going to be the next step in our build along as far as the one with the KF airfoil goes. We're going to go ahead and set that up now and get started on beveling the trailing edges of that plane. Okay, in order to shape the trailing edge of the wing, you're going to need one of these rasps. This one is made by Stanley. It's their Sureform model 21-295. It has a pretty coarse rasp on the bottom with holes in it to let the foam go through. You're going to need this and a medium or fine grit sanding block. When you're using this, we're basically wanting to shape the trailing edge. You don't want to make it a straight, flat surface. You're trying to put a contour on it. So we're going to kind of go over where we beveled it with the handheld hot wire, but in a rounded type of motion. I found that this works best if you move it side to side instead of front to back. If you're going front to back, it just tries to grab way too much of the foam and it'll start tearing chunks out. So I'm just going to go ahead and show you how this is done. Start at the high point and then just go back and forth like this lightly, and at the same time lay it flat and roll it down to the bottom of the trailing edge. You can see it's already trying to grab the foam a little bit. You don't need to put a lot of pressure on it. Kind of just let the weight of it sit on there. And you just want to get rid of that high point and smooth it out and round it down to the back where the trailing edge is, where the ailerons are going to mount. Alright, once we've got the high point shaved down and it's pretty uniform, then we're going to go ahead and take the sanding block. Again, you're going to want probably fine grit, works the best, fine to medium, and sand in a back and forth motion, also bringing it down to the trailing edge. And just sand it until it's uniform and smooth. And bring it all the way up to where the line is that we drew when we were using the handheld hot wire. Alright, when you're done, take a look at the edge of it and make sure it's got a rounded contour, not just a straight cut. Alright, we're going to go ahead and do this on the rest of the trailing edge on both sides, and then we'll start the video back up after that. Okay, I have all of the trailing edge bevels finished and done. A couple quick notes on this. When you're beveling it, don't take it all the way down to the center line on the back edge. You want to leave at least 1/8 of an inch thickness back here in order to mount the ailerons later. Again, just remember, try and get it as uniform as you can and have it with a rounded contour, not just a straight edge. Alright, we're going to go ahead and continue on with the build. Alright, now we're laying out the slot for the motor. You want to make sure the square is lined up on the center line, and then you're going to come over 3/4 of an inch, put a mark, put the square over, make sure it's still on the center line, come over 3/4 of an inch again, put another mark, Then we're going to come up 1 3/4 on the center line and put another dot. Then we want to slide up to that dot with the square, keeping it on the center line. Come over 3/4 inch again, put another dot, flip the square back over, staying on the center line. Come over again 3/4 inch, put another dot. When you're done, again connect all the dots, and then we'll cut the slot out for the motor. Alright, so that's going to be our slot for the motor, so we're going to go ahead and cut that out, and then I'll turn the video back on when it's done. And as I said earlier in the video, I'm going to be giving 2 options for the motor. So this motor slot will probably have to be modified a little bit depending on which motor you go with, but we'll go over that later in the video, or later in the build I should say.
Now that the motor slot is cut out, it's time to prep for putting down the fiberglass weave. We like using the Henry's weave, the 183. But we've been getting lots of questions from people asking where they can get it, or people that are having problems finding it. So I'm going to go ahead and show you a few substitutes that you can use in place of Henry's if you can't find it or get it. Me and Paul both found these in local hardware stores, like Lowe's or Home Depot. This first one is made by Duck brand, and it's basically fiberglass weave for doing wall repairs. It's pretty much close to the same mesh as the Henry's. There's also the Fiba tape, which was also found at Home Depot and Lowe's. Both of these two are also self-adhesive. They stick on like tape. I haven't tried either one of them yet, but I'm assuming they would probably work just as good or close to it. They are a little bit heavier, I think, than the Henry's because they do seem to be a little bit thicker. If you can't get those, there's one other option. Fiberglass screen, the same kind you use on your doors at home and windows, is pretty much close to the same mesh. You want to make sure that you get the plain fiberglass one. This would also probably be good if you're wanting to just cover the whole wing in one sheet, because they come in pretty wide sheets. This one's 48 inches wide by 8 feet long. Again, I haven't used any of this yet, so I'm not sure how good it is, but it is fiberglass and it should work just as well. Again, like I said, it's probably going to be a little bit heavier than the Henry's. So those are your options as far as what to use to cover the wing with fiberglass. I'm probably going to still stick with the Henry's weave since I already have some and I prefer it. We're going to go ahead and get ready to set up to do that.